Heidi, you circled this. Men are more privileged in society than women. How so?
Jobs.
Just jobs. Just the jobs.
Yeah.
How so? I guess. In what way?
It's the odds of getting the same job as a man. It's the same with race.
Same with race.
Yeah. A white man is more likely to get the job a qualified black woman would apply for.
Well, I don't know the statistics on that, but
Like,
at
you
least
both
as it
could
relates to
be
gender.
the same qualifications, and they're still going to choose the white man.
Look, there's massive amounts of hiring priority from massive corporations all the way down. There's tons of affirmative action that places a priority in hiring women. If you look in urban areas, you look in cities, single childless women under the age of 30, they out-earn their male counterparts. Women are out-earning men, especially in 2025. You look at major cities, women are frequently out-earning men. There's plenty of job opportunities for women. This idea, and then further, if we're looking at differentials or gaps, you'd like to say, okay, well, women don't get these really glamorous jobs. Women don't make as much money. Even if I go ahead and grant that this is true, and I have some disputes as to this, men occupy the absolute worst positions there are. We watched some videos earlier. So men are way more likely to die on the job. They're more likely to be crushed on the job. They're more likely to have arms and legs and fingers severed on the job. They're more likely to freeze to death on the job. They're more likely to burn to death on the job, more likely to be crushed to death on the job. There's all kinds of gaps that exist. Why is it that we only focused on the amount of money that's made as it relates to gaps, the wage gap, but we don't look at the, I think honestly, the bigger gender grievance, which is that men are way more overrepresented in workplace fatalities and workplace injuries. Why don't we ever examine those gaps?
Well, because it's not the same job. You're not doing the same job. If I'm working, I don't know, at McDonald's, I'm going to expect to get the same as my male counterpart. But
they do, though. Women do get paid. In fact, oftentimes they've done audits of these companies. They did an audit or Google did a self-audit, and they're like, well, we're feminist, and we want to make sure that the women are paid the same. They actually found out that they were paying women more than the men. How do you explain that?
Are the women negotiating and the men aren't?
Well, if it was the reverse, you would just say that that's sexism.
No.
So if the men were that's actually one of the components for why men, there's an earnings gap. Men are more likely to negotiate. Women are more likely to take the first offer or take a lesser offer.
Because men are usually offered the job over a woman. Well, like I said, if the qualifications are the same on paper.
Are they?
Yes. Theoretically, if you and a woman apply for the same exact job, qualifications are the same. And I'm not talking like physical labor jobs. I'm talking like corporate jobs. Like,
what about, you think I'm more likely to be hired as a teacher?
Yeah,
for young children?
There's lots of male teachers.
Are there more female teachers or male teachers, like in the elementary school level?
I think there's more female, but it's also choice of what career you want to go in.
I agree. There's choices. Men make certain choices. Some of those choices happen to pay men more. Women make a lot of choices. A lot of those choices happen to pay women less because of choice, not because of sexism.
But HR is the one that is hiring,
which
right?
Which is predominantly made up of feminist left-leaning women. Why don't feminist left-leaning women who run the HR departments, why aren't they hiring women?
Because it goes through AI.
Goes through AI?
There's an answer for everything.
But hold on. But AI is like within the past 2 or 3 years, women were running HR departments for decades. So what's going on there?
I mean, I am 25. AI has been around since I've been applying for jobs. They teach us how to make resumes for the AI scanners.
Like ChatGPT, it's been like 3 years?
I didn't say ChatGPT. I'm talking AI in general. Like the ATS scanners are the ones that are going through the resumes and deciding which resumes get pulled for the jobs.
And you're saying that there's evidence that they're just disqualifying all women.
Why do you think they choose to put on the application gender, ethnicity? There is no reason why a job needs to know that when you're applying for a job.
You can decline to answer.
And I forget.
I know, sometimes I do, and I get more interviews when I decline to answer.
But there was a study that came out that released that an ATI company, ATS, for a major company was biased toward white men. I'm not saying that's every company, but
I'd have to see the study. I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
no,
it does exist though.
But again, I guess my question to you is, why is it that we only hyper focus in on the money component and not all the other things?
I'm not focusing on the money component. I'm
Like,
talking
do you
about
think-
the opportunity to have a
Why
job.
is it that 94% of workplace fatalities happen to men? Like, I think dying is kind of a bigger deal
Because
than like
men
some women make a
work in
few dollars
harder
less.
labor, right? Wasn't that what we talked about that for a while?
Right, but why isn't there a fight for like equality and feminism? Like, let's get more female bricklayers. What's going on there? Why can't, like,
We're not
where's the feminists
biologically
trying to...
as well adapted as you guys are to
So-
fulfill those jobs proficiently.
Question for you.
Yes.
If you knew that there was a risk for a job that you could die
Uh-huh.
or be maimed, would you probably want to be compensated for that?
Of course.
Okay.
That's why
And are
underwater welders
do you
get paid
think
so
jobs
much.
where there's a risk of injury or death, people are probably less likely to do that job?
I would say for the most
And
part.
there's a greater demand for that job?
It depends.
Sorry, when I say, I guess there's a demand from the, not from the employee side, but from the employer side,
Yeah. Could you give me
because there's less people willing to do the job.
Yeah.
Okay, and are men more likely to work dangerous and dirty
Yeah.
jobs?
Yes.
Okay, so if it, even from your perspective, you would have to be paid more to do that job.
For sure.
Whereas most people would be fine in an air conditioned, like you don't need to be, oh man, you don't need to be paid more to work an air conditioned office job. Like no,
Yeah.
you don't have to be convinced to do
Yeah,
that.
I'm confused. What's like the question?
Well, I'm saying that one of the components, and by the way, the wage gap, there's like it's multivariate, multiple reasons for why this earnings gap exists. First off, the wage gap is oftentimes the number that's quoted. It's just comparing all the money that men make to all the women that money make. It's not factoring in hours worked, type of job, location,
Yeah.
field of work, all these other factors, overtime, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So one of them is though, men are more willing to work these like dangerous,
Right.
undesirable jobs.
Yes.
And undesirable jobs, because they're undesirable, oftentimes tend to be rewarded more because of their undesirable nature. Like if you're working a job where it's like, you're an underwater welder and delta P, there's a chance you get sucked into a tube and like instantly vaporized, you should probably be compensated well for taking on the risk of doing underwater welding.
For sure.
I agree
It's
with
like
that
hazard
too.
pay, right?
Hazard pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Men are much more likely to engage in hazard pay. That's
Yeah.
only one of the many metrics by which this earnings gap manifests itself. But when you start accounting for all these different variables and you compare like for like, it shrinks to just 1 cent. Men earn 1 cent more than women.
But I think it's more of the problem in companies where they are paying a man more than they are paying
same
a woman
job.
for the same
If she can
exact
prove
job.
it, if she can prove it, she can
Well,
file a
that-
lawsuit.
Well, that's why they tell you not to discuss your financials with coworkers. They tell you not to tell your coworkers how much you're getting paid because most of the time it's unequal.
Well, I mean, I'll propose this.
That was my wage gap
Really quick
issue.
show of hands. Who
not-
here wants a guy to pay for first dates? Just show of hands, super quick. Okay, so I think ignoring even all the things I listed, the fact that men work more, they work more hours, they work more overtime, they're more likely to relocate, they're more likely to do XYZ, different thing that happens to be correlated to higher pay. I argue that it's actually women cause the wage gap. Women, through your own sexist, gendered expectations, you want men to pay for first dates. You want men to be providers. This creates a mating pressure that exists only on men. It doesn't exist in the reverse. It doesn't exist back. You want men to pay for first dates, to be providers. They're going to be more motivated to make money. They're going to be more motivated to work harder.
I think issues like the wage gap are nuanced, but I agree with you that women do contribute to part of the problem.
Well, if the standard is, as a woman, I want a man to pay for dates, I want him
Right.
to be a provider,
Yeah.
that would create a social pressure, a
Yeah.
mating pressure that exists one direction but doesn't exist the other direction.
Right.
Like, as women, you want money, like, for yourself.
Yeah.
But it's never part of the calculus
Yeah, that
of,
men
like,
are not looking for women
of
with
like,
money.
I'm making a bunch of money, so women want to fuck me.
Right.
Or sorry, men want to fuck me. Well, I guess you're bisexual, so maybe it works out if you're bi. I don't know. But yeah, it's not like, women can absolutely be super motivated, obviously wanting to take care of yourself, being financially secure, that is very motivating. But you don't have this added level of pressure or motivation
Yeah.
on the basis of finding a boyfriend.
Yes.
Like, you can be broke.
Yes,
and
yes.
guys are still going to want to deal with you. But if
Yeah.
you're a broke guy, that does have an impact on your dating prospects.
I totally agree with
Not
you.
to some women deal with broke dudes, but it does have an impact in the very simply, y'all want a guy to pay for a first date.
Yeah.
If a guy can't afford to pay for a first date,
I hear that.
in trouble.
I agree that it's harder to date as a poor man, unattractive man, than a poor, unattractive woman.
tough out there. All right, one more thing